Hi, there's sound. Hi guys. I just want to say this is my first talk ever that I've given, so I'm pretty excited about it and nervous at the same time. So it's gonna be great. I'm doing learning security the hard way, going from student to professional. It's kind of hard, especially in InfoSec, and I'm going to tell you why and what you can do to fix that. This is intended for college students, especially people coming right out of college. However, I do any input from industry. Or anything you can share with me, I would love to hear it, and I can add in the future. Or if you have questions anytime, you can stop me. So, as you said, my name is Benjamin Carroll. This is a college-specific talk. I recently graduated last month with my degree in cyber defense from Baker College of Jackson. In my time there, I captained a successful CCDC team. We competed 4 times. We won a lot. So I have that background on me. Which is really great, and I'm going to talk about the CCDC later. It's something I think that should be addressed at the college level. While I went to college, I also worked there. I worked in IT at the college, so I had the administrative perspective, and I also taught a few times while I was there. So I had the experience of being a student, an instructor, and working with administration. So at the college level, it's very unique, and a lot of people don't get that. So you see the full spectrum of what college actually is. Now I work at a large utility. I work at Consumers Energy. I interned there in the SOC, which was a great experience. I recently moved to the critical infrastructure side, so I have a lot of exposure to SCADA systems and the energy side of the business as well. So what I'll be going over today is I'll be going over what InfoSec is like as a college student, what it's like as a professional. It's very different, and how to bridge the gap between the two, and as well as tips from industry and for industry, and I think the for industry is a very good thing to add. So this is you're going to have a starting point. Everyone in security has a starting point, and I know for me, and I'm assuming a lot of other people, this will be your starting point. It's kind of what it is. You can be in IT. Security is way different than IT. It's going to hurt, and everyone is going to look like that.
But he's smiling.
He is very smiley. Yes, yeah. He loves what he's doing. I love InfoSec, and I hope all of you do too. So you're gonna have a starting point, and I can tell you right now, colleges advertise InfoSexy. When I went into the college, they're like, "Yeah, learn how to be a hacker, learn how to red team." That's not really the case at most colleges. They advertise hacking and being a red team and stuff like that, but then you get there, and what is it? It's blue teaming, and blue teaming matters, and that's what, for the most part, you're going to be one of doing. But they're blending the two together right now in industry, but they're not in college. They advertise red team, but when you get there, it's blue team. So there's confusion that happens when you start school. And I know that because while I worked there at the college, they had me advertise that specifically to high schoolers. Advertise the whole hacker thing. Get people interested by doing hacking. I got people in my CCDC team by like, hey, learn how to hack. And then I switched it on them, and I was like, hey, now here's blue team. Some of them hated me for it. But it was kind of the way colleges do it, which is unfortunate, I think. So get over that confusion, and you'll be set. And then as you keep going, you're going to realize everything's theory. That's the same for all degrees. When you do theory, even if you're doing hands-on work, nothing's gonna prepare you for a ransomware attack. Nothing in the college is gonna be like, hey, you're sitting in a SOC, ransomware just hits you. You can't prepare for that in college. So that is a huge gap, that theory in colleges. You're not really learning what you're gonna be applying in the real world. And then also, I see a lot of students that I know are from Eastern. I know are from Baker. There's some from JCC. Jackson College. You're gonna realize it's very competitive, and I'm going to say that's because of the CCDC. We've created this culture that I think is inappropriate and needs to be addressed, and I will address that later. But that's also another confusion thing when you get into college. So as you keep going, you're gonna hit 2 points. No, I'm sorry, you're not gonna hit 2 points. You're gonna realize 2 things. You're gonna start talking to these other schools. I made an effort to discuss things with other schools. And that was kind of a new thing because people in school don't talk to each other at other schools. So I talked to my peers that I have now, and I realized there's a business degree in security, and there's also a science degree. They both are advertised as security degrees, but they have 2 very different focuses. I took a more business-related degree. So I learned policy and procedure, and I learned how to apply security to things. Whereas some of my peers have the more science-related security degree, and they know how to actually do that on the computer side. I don't know how to code very well. I wish I did. I wish I took a science degree. But at the same time, I talk to people who did take the science degree, and they're like, man, I wish I had a business degree, because then I can know policy, and then I can apply security, not just typing stuff as like an engineer or something. So you're going to see that when you get out there, and if you realize that now, if you realize the strength of your degree, if it's a science degree or a business degree, pick up what it's lacking on your own. That's going to help you in the long run extremely. And as you keep going, strange things are going to happen. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. And then you're going to graduate, and you're going to go looking for a job. And this is going to be you now. That was me, at least. It's rough. And I would like to say, in my experiences, this is related to undergrads. I just applied for my master's, and I will maybe add to this what a master's degree is in the future. So you're going to keep going. You're going to find a job. You're going to get in your job, and you're going to realize there's rapid change. The InfoSec community changes every single day, which is awesome. It's a challenge. It's amazing. It evolves. It's the nature of the beast. It's great. But at the same time, with that rapid change, you have to deal with other things. You have to deal with maturity. Any of the students, have you guys ever dealt with maturity yet? You guys interact with me. Yes, no. Yes, you have. Well, if everyone else has an answer, I'm assuming that's a no. If you haven't dealt with that, you're going to get in there and you're going to be like, oh, God, what is maturity? You're going to hear us say it. People in the industry say it, but you're not going to know what it is until you're actually in it. So, and another thing with that is, I think that's an issue across the industry as far as, I walked into an enterprise, which was fairly mature, and we're working really hard at it. So my challenge was learning the maturity and learning how that applied to us. I know people that have walked into smaller shops, and they have to actually, build that maturity up. So what we have two separate challenges on separate sides of the scale, but they're both equally as hard. So if you realize that in college, and it's going to hit you when you get to your career, it's going to help you. Next, you need to learn how to learn, and I think this is very, very important for anything in life. There's a lot of people that don't know how to do that. You need to leverage what you know. You need to leverage the people around you, and if you learn that way, use that. That CCDC team I created, and I'm very vocal about this, we did a student-centered learning environment. Our instructors were not involved at all. Who competes in CCDC? You can raise your hand, please. Okay, does your instructors help you every time you meet? Do they show you how to do things? I know you. Guys, Eastern. I'm going to take that as a no. Okay, so I know some colleges. I know some of the colleges. They have a crutch that's their instructor. So what happens is they get into this competition room, and they don't know what to do because the instructor's not there. Whereas what we did is we learned how we learned, and we learned it with each other, so we could apply it rapidly. We were presented with a challenge, and we could do it as quickly as we could. If you can apply that to your career, that's amazing. A great thing about security, and I hope you guys have been here all week, or all weekend, or Thursday, it's very culture driven. Security is not a product, and in college they advertise security as a product. It's not. It's about the people. And if you ask me, and I think a lot of people in industry will tell you that security is about the people, then the process, and then the product. You need the people to apply, or you need the people to build the process to apply to the product. They don't teach you that in college. From the people I've discussed with in college, they don't show you that. They don't demonstrate that. You're nodding your head. Yeah. Yeah. And then you get there and you're like, oh wow, I can't just buy something and throw it in and everything's fixed. It's not the way it is. It's about the people and the process, and then product is the last thing. So you keep going through your career, and what are you going to hit? Realistic expectations. I know a lot of people, and I think this is a issue on colleges and the way they advertise. And like I said, I did all the tours for the high schoolers and the people from other colleges and showed them stuff. And I was specifically instructed to A, make it look sexy, but B, inflate the numbers. When I was in college, I thought it was great, and now that I'm out of college, I'm like, that was a mistake. There's no starting point at $100,000 unless you're a genius. You need to understand that even at 75,000, you need to be looking towards like a 40 to 60 range, which is great, by the way. Don't be upset by that. But there's just a lot of people that I've talked to that are expecting the $100,000 range. Expect to fail. Fail early and fail often. If you have a good manager, they're gonna love that. They're gonna love that. I like being called break fix. I know a few other break fixes. If you break something and then learn from it and then fix it, and you're not going to get in trouble. Yeah, everyone's going to fail, and you're afraid of failure because your managers or your team lead's going to be like, "Oh my God, you failed! Get out of here." It's not the case in industry. It shouldn't be the case anywhere. If you fail and you learn from it, that's a great thing. And I know a lot of people that expect to be Mr. Robot when they walk in. Does anyone watch Mr. Robot? Great show. I binge watched it last week for the first time. And it was great because season 2 just started. So you're not Mr. Robot. That's obviously television. But industry is not like the movie Hackers or Black Hat or anything like that. Horrible movies. But you don't just click a button and things happen. But however, I will give props to Mr. Robot on one great thing that they portrayed that no one else has portrayed in the past. And that's research. They actually showed him researching people. Anyone in Red Team will tell you that, you spend way more time researching your target than you do actually doing things. It's like 30% doing things and 70% research and documentation. Again, another thing they do not tell you in college. They just say, hey, go out and have fun, attack this target. Learn how to do that. It's not the case. But all the time you used to spend in college and you're focusing on your career, and now you're in your career, you need to spend that time that you use studying to research new things. When I was in the SOC, a coworker of mine does malware analysis. I'm green as grass with malware analysis. I loved watching him do malware analysis. It was interesting. I was psyched about it. I had no idea what I'm doing. Am I researching it in my spare time? Yes. I hope to apply that in the future. Packet analysis. Again, I did a more business-related degree. We didn't really go into packet analysis. Yeah, I know how a network works, but can I track down, a rogue packet or anything like that? No. Am I researching that in my spare time? Yes. So it's going to help you in the future. It's going to help your team. You're going to benefit from that a lot. And if you're a student, you're going to hate this next one. When you're in the industry, you need to document everything. Documentation is a scary word for a student. At least for me it was. Documentation means extra work. When I was in school, by my junior year, I had a motto. And my motto was MER. And that stood for minimal effort required. My instructor would be like, hey, write a 7 to 10 page paper. Guess what he was getting? 7 pages exactly. So, when you're in industry, that doesn't cut it. You need to put in a lot of work to that, and again, your future self will thank you way more than, your current self. Your team, again, will thank you. Your leaders will thank you because, hey, now you documented this, now you have a process, now we can apply it to the rest of the organization. And we keep moving. And if you do all those and, if you bridge the gap, you do all those, you have success. However, I define success past that. Once you bridge that gap, what I think real success is creating new knowledge and then giving that back to the community. So once you've done all of those and you're in your job and you love it, please get a job you love, by the way. And if you're doing all that, take the time to give back to the community and to create new things. And if you can do that, you get out of it what you put into it. I hope you guys have met the MySec people. Anyone wearing a red shirt, talk to them. They're here to give back to the community. And I think that's a successful thing to do. So, I talked to 2 of my peers. The first person I talked to, I'll get back to that. So what I asked was, what do people new to the industry struggle with? Which is basically that gap. What is that gap? And what would you recommend security students focus on before moving to industry? Which is how to bridge that gap. So the first person I asked was Janae Bajorek. She's a liaison for the CBI Academy. Does everyone know what CBI Academy is? Yeah, okay. They're here. Great people. She's the liaison, so she's at the very, very low level. They take in people, the graduates, and they do a learning program, and then they send them, they put them in positions. It's awesome. But she's at the starting point. So she gets the students that are right out of college. full exposure to the students that are right out of college. And I think she gave me the best answer I could ever have asked for her. And that's that graduates struggle with an entry point into InfoSec. What is the entry point? I mean, I don't really know. You guys know? No? I mean, regular IT, you start... Yeah.
Believe it or not, that's where you start off. Like you said, that's where your blue team is.
Yeah.
Because you ain't to know just about everything. You have to be a jack of all trades and master of none.
Yeah.
Because when you're put into something to red team, then you figure out, oh, that's how that. I remember how I got that. I remember how I connected. And then you just reverse engineer.
Yeah. Right. Yes, exactly. And then to add to that, avoid being an SME because then you get pigeonholed into things. Yeah. Don't be a master. Do the jack of all trades. But again, with that entry point, everyone knows regular IT work. When you graduate with an IT degree, you're going to start at the help desk. It's the traditional route. You start at the help desk and you work up. There's no real IT security help desk. I mean, I'm sure they exist, but that's not a proper entry point into what it should be. And then at the same time, you go looking for jobs, and what do they want? They want this much experience and this much education for an entry-level position. That is bad. Shame on those businesses. But for the record, still apply to those jobs. Please apply to those jobs. Those are HR requirements. You can get past those. But it skews your perspective of the entry point. They say, oh, your entry point requires 5 years of experience. You just graduated college. You don't have 5 years of experience. You know, and they advertise them as entry points. Another struggle is information overload, and I think this is a big one. This affected me a lot. I walked into, again, an enterprise. I had a lot to learn. I had to learn processes. I had to learn tools. They don't teach you specific tools in college. They're like, hey, here's what a SIM is. They don't tell you how to use a specific SIM. You know, you have to learn that while you're there. So you get flooded with all this information. And it hurts. I remember I've gone home before. My wife is sitting right there, and she knows that I've gone home before with my brain felt like mush. I couldn't do anything because I took in so much information that day, and it hurt. But it helped me in the long run. So
she would say, are you going to take up the garbage, or do you want me to bring you or take you to work? So
and then to help bridge that gap, she told me, get comfortable being uncomfortable. You're going to be put in uncomfortable positions. It's going to suck. Get through it. I think I'm almost to the point of being comfortable with it. I'm not really. I'm uncomfortable right now, and I think I'm doing pretty good. But please just get uncomfortable being uncomfortable. You're going to get through things. They're challenges, and they look like they're going to hurt. Get through them. And then also definitely have all the basics down. That would include like networking, coding, math. Please have math down. Please understand how math works. So the last thing I want to do, I don't work for CBI. However, as an advocate of learning, I really like what they do, and I want to plug them real quick. If you're looking for an entry point, you know, one of my best friends is with them right now, loves it. The people there are great. Talk to CBI. Talk to Wolf. Talk to Janae. Great people. The second person I asked was Jim Beachy. He's the executive director of information security at Consumers Energy. So we talked to Janae, who's, you know, talking to the people in college while they're there. Now we have a high-level overview of what Jim, you know, of a director, what a director would think students struggle with. So he told me one of the gaps is realizing how much you really don't know. And I extremely appreciate this response from Jim, because that was me. I did not know. I thought I knew a lot, and I walked into that, and I didn't. And obviously it hurt. Obviously I got hit with that information overload. I was uncomfortable for a little while. Have a great team. There's some of them back there. You know, they helped me through it. But I thought I knew more than I did, and it hurt. And another thing he said was, you need to understand that you don't know Jack, and that's actually a quote from him. However, that's okay. It's a good thing that you don't know anything. You know basics. If you walk into a business thinking you know everything, and then you go to a different business, that business is going to operate differently. You need to have those basics down and not think that you know everything, because I did that, and I struggled with it. And, you know, you gotta get past that, and you gotta understand that, and if you do, it's gonna help you. And then lastly, to bridge the gap, work hard, learn hard, play hard. Just dedicate yourself to becoming better at what your job is. It's great. Again, your team will thank you if you do that. Your managers will. The business will thank you if you do that. One last thing Jim told me that I did not put on here was he also added not just college students, but people moving from IT. Is anyone here working in IT and not information security? You are? Okay. So one of the struggles that he mentioned with people in IT is focused on availability. I'm working in SCADA systems right now. They have to stay up. If they go down, people lose power. I'm still doing security, but it's way more availability focused. Where when you move to information security, it's all about confidentiality and that kind of thing. So systems can go down. We don't like that, but it's not the end of the world. So you have to realize it's not availability, it's confidentiality, and they have the same focus. Priorities are shifted. Any managers or any bosses in here right now? No, that's okay. Hi. One of the things I want to say to them, and I hope they watch this, is that you need to get used to the millennials. If you look around the room, there's a lot of us. We operate differently. We grew up in the cloud. We've had the internet forever. We're just different. We're digital natives, and I think walking into a business where you have people that are older and they aren't that, you hit a rock, and they're just like, no, you're a millennial. I'm not going to help you. Just leverage what we have, and we're good at things, and people don't realize that. They just want to put us in a hole and just like, hey, it hasn't happened to me, but I've talked to people that it has happened to. So leverage our skills and teach us the things we don't know. And lastly, you need to support colleges and events. So you being here supporting this event is amazing. There's a lot of students right here right now. So you're going to be hiring them in the future. So, and on other events that I can throw you, if you're a student, look into MySec, great community, and I'm sure you've met a lot of them, and I know I plugged them already. But that's awesome. Support the CCDC. We want to help make that better. There's National Cyber League. That starts at high school. Can you imagine, helping someone in high school and then through college doing the Cyber League, and then you have them trained to what you want them, and then now they're working for you. So that's a cool thing to do. And there's other events and stuff. My best advice, however, would be patience. I know a lot of people that are not patient. I wasn't patient. I was really impatient with all of these. While you're in school, finding the light at the end of the tunnel hurts. It really hurts. Just be patient with it. Again, you'll get out of it what you put into it. When you're looking for a job, you're going to struggle finding that entry point. Be patient with that as well. I know a few people that are struggling with that right now. And then while you're in your job, there's processes that you're not exposed to in college. There's ways businesses work. You have to be patient with that, and all of them are going to be different. The last thing I wanted to focus on was the CCDC. I love the CCDC. However, I like to give constructive criticism to it. I like what they do. There's some ways that it's applied. And I say CCDC, however, I'm going to say the entire collegiate landscape. Because it's not just them. It's the way colleges help build this. And it's the way their culture is done. And I think it's not as much in the CCDC as it is the culture of the colleges that are attending CCDC, which is all of you. First thing, schools need to work together. We mentioned playbooks. If I had Flint's playbook, so I went to Baker College at Jackson. If I had Baker College at Flint's playbook, they would freak out. They would absolutely hate us. It'd be the worst thing ever. No, make a playbook and share it with them. What are you doing? What are you doing in industry with teams? How many times do you hear Microsoft and Google working together to fix an issue? You're gonna be working together in the future. And what happens is they don't inspire the right culture while you're in college. So you get into your career, and it's like, oh my God, I don't want to work with them. They're an enemy. No, that's not the issue. So that's another thing. You'll be working with your enemies. Again, I'm from Baker College at Jackson. I'm working with someone from Jackson College. I love the guy. He's great. And when I was in college, he was an enemy. He's not anymore. And if you guys learn that now, you're going to succeed quicker when you get there. And again, I'm gonna switch this slide to collegiate landscape because it's not the CCDC that does this. But we need to focus on security as a whole at the college level. And again, I say CCDC because that's the people I'm exposed to is in that realm. But, so when Target happened, did everyone boo Target? Like, oh my god, Target, you suck. No, they absolutely did not. What they did was they booed InfoSec as an industry. The industry failed, not Target. And people at the college level, they would boo another team or they would do something like that. I'm guilty of it, So when Heartbleed happened, I wasn't, as Wolf said, I'm young, I wasn't around when Heartbleed happened. But, did everyone drop OpenSSL? No, again, corporate rivals and enemies rallied, I use enemies word lightly, but they rallied together to help build open source security projects together. So if colleges can understand that, that would be a great thing. And another thing I just want to add to this, so I competed for 3 years in the CCDC. I think I was unhealthily driven to win. I wanted a trophy. That's all I wanted. It's not the case anymore. By the time I competed for my 4th time, I think I do really good naturally leading. I didn't naturally manage. And I was fortunate enough to have people help me learn that. So by the time my 4th and last competition came around, I got 2nd place. Was I upset? Absolutely not, because the next week, everyone on my team came to me and they said, Ben, I would work for you in a heartbeat. You did this wonderfully. We all learned from the experience of CCDC. So I'm throwing this at colleges because everyone goes there to win a damn trophy. It's not what it's for. You need to learn what you're doing there. That's the most realistic experience you're going to get outside of college. That's what, Kate, right? So like the closest. Let's put it the closest. But they have their struggles as well. But if we work to help them, it's going to be great. And I would like to help them in the future. To further align that with industry. So what I went over today is InfoSec, what it's like as a college student, what it's like as a professional, and then there's a giant gap and what you can do to bridge that gap. And then tips from industry and for industry, and I hope that was listened to. So again, my name's Benjamin Carroll. Go Team Mystic. Who owns the gym right now? I'm Taco Pirate on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter. Please feel free to follow me. And then there's my email. So does anyone have any questions? No? Yes? Yeah? Oh, Ryan.
Why did you choose Team Mystic?
It's the best team. Glorious Articuno. Any real questions? No? Okay. All right. Oh, you got one? Yeah. 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 Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because they all operate differently and it's great. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Did I do an internship before any of that? I did my internship the last 2 semesters of my college degree, so that would have been that was with Consumers Energy. Yep. I worked as an actual faculty member for the IT department when I was there for the college. So, but yeah, I did the industry, or I'm sorry, I did the internship through Consumers. So, Kate. How are they actually dealing with millennials? So I do not have an answer to that yet. And I want to throw that out there. I think it's just as much a struggle for people to deal with millennials as it is millennials to deal with the older generations. Would you agree with that? Yeah, true. But I don't have an answer for that right now. And that's a very good question. Tolerance, that's a good one, yes. And again, I think every business does it differently. And it's way related to the person and how they view them. So. Yeah, you have to find a balance, yeah. Yeah, because again, I think the biggest part with millennials is there's a communication gap. And I think it takes both sides of the generations to work to fix that. Twitter just went off. Someone probably followed me. Yeah.
I was just going to that to get back, or lack
Yes.
Like participating, speaking,
Yeah.
talking to people while you're here.
Yep. Yeah.
And
That's,
being active, talk to other people and interact and try to build those soft skills. It's entirely necessary to work with people beyond our generation, the millennials, our older generation. They can embrace the thing routine.
yeah. Exactly.
Really come to the world. Handshakes, direct the eye,
Yeah. Yeah. A good point that he just said was to, get, like what I'm doing right now. I'm uncomfortable. This is my first talk. I'm doing this because I want to give back to the community. I didn't have to do this. I want you guys to know this stuff. So, was there one more? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's. Yeah. 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 I've probably stopped at Kate's desk 1,000 times. Yes. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's, yeah. Compliance needs paper trails, yeah, so.
The way to at least my experience, you can work with persons via phone or go down to their office, create a dialogue, and then create that paper trail by sending a message to them.
Yeah, like a follow-up or something.
This for our conversation or whatever the case might be. They appreciate that.